Happening today, a home filled with tragedy is now becoming a place of hope. 16 years ago, a 92-year-old woman was by police during a raid. CBS 46's Madeline Montgomery is live from where this all happened on Neal Street with how the house is becoming a place to serve the community. Good morning, Madeline.
Good morning, Tori. You would really never know that such a tragedy happened here. You see all the bright colors, the white, the freshness in here, and it's just going to be a place of light for the community. And this has been opened by the nonprofit Helping Empower Youth, or HEY, and it's opening in honor of Mother Kathryn Johnston, the woman who was after police came in a box raid and shot her. It was on a no-knock warrant, and people in the community can use the house to shower and do laundry, and there are going to be meetings here to help with the youth. And the house isn't the only thing in the community that honors Johnston's life. A park nearby was also named after her. And here's what a city councilman said at the time of the park's opening back in 2018.
What her brought to light was just so many things that were not a true reflection of this historic community, a community that birthed giants and has transitioned, unfortunately, to disrepair. There are so many residents who still live, as Kathryn Johnston did, to protect the integrity of that history.
They're going to have the ribbon cutting in an hour, and then it's going to be open for business September 7th. Reporting live in Atlanta, I'm Madeline Montgomery, CBS 46 News.
All right, peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. All praises to the Most High. That news article is about 2 years old, 2022, where they made the house that 3 Atlanta police officer animals came in and executed that woman in a fake D-Rug raid. The announcer is calling it a botched raid. No, there was no raid. There was no D-Rugs. Miss Kathryn Johnston was a 92-year-old woman who stayed in that house for 18 years. And there she is right there. I don't know if you guys remember this case, but I just felt the need to bring it up because of all the things that we are seeing now with police officers. And I want to let you know that these things are not new. You know, these things have been happening. Now, this happened in Atlanta in 2006, where these 3 officers, Gregg Junnier, Arthur Tesler, and Jason Smith. Now, honestly, I didn't even take the time to look at each one of them and figure out who's who and what's what. But those are the 3 animals that took the life of our dear elder because they were so bloodthirsty for getting a warrant or making an arrest in a predominantly black neighborhood. Now, let me tell you how this happened. It was about 7 p.m. and the police, these 3 animals, these 3 renegades, barbarians, Neanderthals, came to this lady's house, banging on the door. Now, when she didn't answer the door, they cut the burglar bars off. You know how some places in bad neighborhoods have burglar bars, like the black bar. So they cut those off, axed off the locks, and kicked the door in. But now, because Miss Johnson was 92 years old and she had lived in that neighborhood and there was a lot of crime rampant there, she took her old .32 revolver and she fired off a round. Wow. And that round didn't hit any officer. The round was said to went over their heads. But in response to that, these 3 murderous animals let off 39 shots. And they said 5 or 6 hit Miss Johnson. And she later succumbed to her injuries. And it was said that after they executed Miss Johnson, these guys handcuffed the 92-year-old lady and then began to search the house for D-Rugs. After they could not find any D-rugs in her house, these lying, thieving, murderous people planted substances, cocaine, white girl, booger sugar, whatever you want to call it. They planted that and some bags of Mary Jane in the lady's house to try to cover up their misdeeds. And how did they even end up at the home of Kathryn Johnston, you may ask? So these guys, now one officer said, well, he was walking through the woods and he just so happened to find 3 bags of marijuana, right? And so that same day, earlier that day, these crooked police officers stopped a man somewhere in that same neighborhood and searched him. Finding nothing on him, this crooked officer, I don't know which one of them it was. I think it was Jason Smith. He planted the bags that he just so happened to find in the woods on the man. And after planting them on the man, he said that the man could get out of the arrest if the man gave him some information that would lead to another arrest. And so after pressure, the man, this guy said, okay, well, I just gave them an address. And that address and a fictitious name of a man named Sam, right? And that address happened to be that of Mrs. Johnson. Now, furthermore, as a part of this conspiracy and cover-up, because they didn't get a warrant, they could not get the guy to go over there because, you know, it was a fictitious place where D-rugs were being sold. So they could not get the guy to go over there. And so they called another informant, one of their regular informants. I think they said his name was Alex, to go over there and try to purchase some cocaine. But they said that this guy was unavailable, right? So what they did now is went to the police station and falsified a warrant saying that these things actually happened, that they had an informant to go over there and purchase from Miss Johnson's residence. And off that information, off that false information, they went into this lady's house, and then the subsequent crime happened where they took this lady's life. And at the beginning, they continued to stick to their story of, well, no, there was substances found at the house. Our confidential informant did, purchase illegalities there. But one of the officers, and I think that was Gregg Junnier, started cooperating. I guess, his animalistic conscience was disturbed, but he started cooperating, and then he began to tell what truly happened. And as a result of that, one of the other officers, they said he cooperated in a limited manner. And then the other guy, he continued to deny. He did not cooperate. He wanted to go to trial. He refused to plead guilty. But later, he did plead guilty. Now, these officers, Jason Smith, only received 10 years for like involuntary manslaughter and falsifying statements and the like that. And the other guy, Arthur Tesler, only received 6 years. And the Gregg Junnier guy only received 5 years for taking the life of our dear beloved mother, Kathryn Johnston. And these guys are home now. These guys are home with their families after they took the life of a 92-year-old woman who was sitting in her home. Her neighbors said that she, was much beloved in the community. A lot of elders like her, kept weapons. You got some old Harriet Tubmans out here that keep weapons. They said that a year earlier, a senior citizen had been violated in her home. And so that's why a lot of the residents were on edge. And, they kept weapons. And it was said that these guys let off so many shots that they actually shot each other as well. In the leg, and the thigh, and the shoulder. And so these bumbling guys committed that act, but yet and still they are home. And I want you to look at this picture. Look at this picture of them in the court. You can almost see a smirk on their face. Doesn't that look like a smirk? These guys literally knew that they were going to get a proverbial slap on the wrist for them taking the life of Miss Johnson. And I find that is insulting, but I also find it is another example of how the legal system and the justice system is one-sided. These officers, because they are officers of the law, should have been given the maximum sentence, the maximum charges, like lock them up and throw away the key. And they said that the federal sentences was reduced. The first guy who got 10 years, his sentence was reduced by 40% because of his cooperation, meaning, maybe he would have got 18 years. The other guy's sentence was reduced by 20%. So that means he would have got about 8 years. And the other guy's sentence wasn't reduced, but he received a lesser sentence because of his lesser role in the conspiracy. Now, also a couple of other officers were charged in minor roles for, allowing them guys to secure the warrants. But these guys had a history of planting evidence and falsifying statements and just being bloodthirsty out to convict Black people. You got officers out here that will go above and beyond the call of duty to try to find something. You literally see them manufacturing a D-rug house. Oh, this is going to be a house that we're going to bust in and raid because we clearly planted evidence on this guy. And this guy, he just makes up an address. We can't get him to go over there and purchase anything because he knows it's a lie. You know it's a lie. He's just saying anything to get out of trouble. So we're going to just go over here and perform this raid without a warrant. So all of y'all police enthusiasts that watch my videos, are y'all going to justify this too? How y'all justify everything else that the police do? Well, they were just doing their job, trying to keep D-rugs off the street. It's in a bad neighborhood. What kind of excuse do you have for this one? I would love to hear it. You see my number, 919-587-7782. Please let me know how you can justify this. And, peace and love goes to Miss Kathryn Johnson. Evidently, her name still is ringing bells in Atlanta. They have the help center for the youth as well as the park, but there should be none of that because this should have never happened. And her family did receive a $4.9 million lawsuit against the city of Atlanta. But once again, none of that monetary compensation will serve to replace who Miss Kathryn was. And so while that is admirable, these guys should not be still on the streets. That is my opinion of the situation. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. Thanks for watching.